18, 2014. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey have been satisfied by the inclusion of the date, time, and place of this regular meeting in the annual schedule and notice of regular meetings of this governing body. Such annual schedule and notice of regular meetings is posted at Borough Hall, was sent to the record in the Ridgewood News, posted on the Borough website, and filed with the Borough of Dumont. Council members Brophy,
Here.
Carrick, Correa,
Here.
Hayes,
Here.
Riquelme,
Here.
Samachansky,
Here.
Mayor Kelly.
Here. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I make a motion to second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this point, are there any ladies here from our Women's Club? Step up. Anyone else? Women's Club of Dumont is celebrating their 80th anniversary, so I have a proclamation here from the Office of the Mayor. Women's Club of Dumont 80th anniversary. Whereas in 1925, a group of energetic women from Dumont organized to better serve their community in many ways under the name the Women's Civic League of Dumont. Its founder and first president, Mrs. E. P. Stevenson, was instrumental in obtaining the deed for Dumont's library, the historical Dixon Homestead. And whereas in 1929, under the Women's Club's guidance, a branch of the Needlework Guild of America was formed, and many needlework projects benefiting the community were completed. And whereas the Junior Women's Club was established in 1934 and remained a very active organization until the 1990s, when many of the members joined the Dumont Women's Club. And whereas the Women's Club of Dumont established a nursing scholarship granted to young women graduating from high school and going on to nursing school. That scholarship is presently 2 scholarships granted to 2 young Dumont women furthering their education in any field. And whereas the Women's Club of Dumont has been federated under the State Federation of Women's Clubs since 1933, which means that in 2013 they celebrated their 80th anniversary of federation. Now therefore be it resolved that I, James J. Kelly, Mayor of Dumont, do proclaim February 19th as the 80th anniversary of the Women's Club of Dumont. Their generosity to our residents, as well as those in surrounding towns, since 1925 has been almost overwhelming, and we are very appreciative of it. The club has accomplished a great deal and are truly an example. In numbers, there is strength. Congratulations. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the February 4th, 2014 closed session?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Council members Brophy,
Yes.
Correa,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Riquelme,
Yes.
Samachansky.
Yes.
John?
Thank you very much.
We're just dialing into Councilman Garrett.
Hey, Matt, we're on the phone. There's a room full of people, so don't say anything bad. All right, you're on.
Don't say anything.
All right, good. Thank you, Eric. With regards to snow, if anybody's interested, 52 inches so far this year. Right now, we have about 3 truckloads of salt left. If you've been reading the news and hearing the news, there's a salt shortage for this entire region. We have over 250 tons on order that we've had on order now for about 2.5 weeks. We picked up 10 tons today from the county, which would basically do Washington Avenue. So hopefully there will be no more snow until we get, hopefully no more snow, period. And if we do get more snow, hopefully we'll have salt. But I just want to thank the DPW for working around the clock. It's very, very difficult to take 52 inches of snow and put it anywhere. So those of you that have had to live with less narrower streets than you have in the past, I appreciate your patience, but they've done a remarkable job. I go from Flagtown to hats off to DPW, and believe me, they're tired. I also want to thank Manny Trigiani from the Board of Education for putting out a Swift Beach notification about the garbage pickup last week. That was postponed from Thursday to Saturday. I also want to thank the garbage company, although we have a number of issues with them, for coming in on Saturday to take the garbage. So hats off to them. Officer of Emergency Management, we are working with the County Officer of Emergency Management, also with the Meadowlands Commission, on a regional basis regarding mitigation projects. The state putting together a report on mitigation projects to assist towns and counties and private organizations in stopping major catastrophes from happening. Captain Mike Connor basically runs the office downstairs. He's been in touch with them. All the projects, including the 2 NJD projects, the pump station upgrades, and the 3 generator installations have been reported to the Meadowlands Commission as per the request. In addition, we were notified at the department head meeting the other day that our county plan, or town plan that goes to the state police for review, is up for a total rewrite this year. Mike Connor's going to be working on that along with the chief. All the department heads have been notified to make sure that they cooperate with the Office of Emergency Management here at Borough to get that report and that state mandated plan approved.
Thank you. Council committee reports. Councilman Broker.
Thank you, Mayor. Ethics Board met on January 16th. The approval for an attorney for the 2014 calendar year was made. That's the only formal action taken. No cases pending. As far as building and grounds, came to Borough Hall a couple days ago. Got to mention this to you earlier, John, but I'm sure you noticed that the north stairwell is a bit flooded. There's water when I initially walked in, and as I climbed higher and higher, of course, it was worse. DPW was already out plowing and salting on Sunday, so they were called in, and they determined it was coming down a main beam, and nothing could be done with it. But as snow continues to melt in the coming days, it's worth keeping an eye on. As far as finance, the Budget Committee has met 3 times for the 2014 budget cycle. We fully anticipate this year to be a very difficult year. Multiple items that are impacting us, such as BCUA. Their rates have gone up 3.5%. Dumont's flow to BCUA is up 4%. So that's going to be about $70,000 more in 2014 over 2013. Fully expect PSE&G rates to be higher. And I guess I'll keep the bullet points to a minimum and keep my report brief, so I'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Carrick, you have any report tonight? Okay, thank you. Councilman Correa?
I attended the Shade Tree meeting last week, and as of now, they're selling bricks, for maybe some of you that don't know, for the Arboretum over at West Shore. They've sold 17 bricks, and it gets engraved with whatever you want to have there, and they place it in the entranceway to the pavilion there. Out of 40, they sold 17. They're doing the unveiling of the bricks on April 26th. They're looking into placing QR code readers at certain areas of the walk path so that you can, I think you use your iPhone to scan it, and it tells you about whatever foliage is there, trees. It's an educational point for that committee, which I think is pretty neat. So far, the town hasn't lost any trees due to the weather, which is pretty amazing. Arbor Day is, for Arbor Day, they're running a art contest for the students. I'm sure they'll be sending out flyers if they haven't done that as of yet. They've received no applications as of yet for adopt a tree, so if anybody's looking to adopt a tree, I think they have applications out there on the radiator. And there have been no issues with the ordinance for the permits.
Thank you. Councilman Hayes?
The only year I had to report next week, the joint land water will be meeting right before its present time, last month and this month is the I guess called redevelopment of the public service down by TBS. So they have all the plans and so we're working on that right now as far as the barracks. We will update you. That's all I have.
Councilman Kalman?
The police department report. The police department received 1,800 telephone calls for service. Of that, 102 telephone calls for medical reasons. Patrol division, they issued 324 traffic summonses, 2 DWA arrests, investigated 40 motor vehicle crashes. Detective Bureau investigated 12 domestic violence cases and 1 arrest. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Zemichansky?
I'll hold off on my report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Fred?
Thanks, Mayor. Just one matter of what I'm sure a number of you have heard. The borough served this morning a lawsuit by the independent developer, contract purchaser for the ambulance on property. I reviewed the lawsuit at the time and discussed it with the council briefly in closed session. I don't have any substantive comment on the merits of the suit, although I will say that I feel like borough has done everything that it legally is required to do to be in compliance with its obligations statutorily and constitutionally as far as affordable housing goes. And I did advise the mayor and council not to have any comment publicly at this time so as not to compromise litigation strategy or negotiating posture going forward. You're obviously all welcome to make any comments, but if there's not a lot of answers to questions tonight, that's why, because obviously now that we're in litigation, anything anybody says as the Miranda rights of the county will be used against you very well. So just be patient and everything will come to light in due course. I can answer some questions about procedure, but I'm afraid that the mayor and council will be pretty close mouth about the issue. Okay? So,
Thank you. Okay. Second reading of ordinance number 1470, an ordinance to create the position of municipal housing liaison for the purpose of administering the Borough of Dumont's affordable housing program pursuant to the Fair Housing Act. Could I get a motion to waive the formal reading? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any discussion from the council on this? Seeing none, could I get a motion to open to the public?
I make a motion to open the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, if anyone has a question in regards to ordinance number 1470, please step to the mic, state your name and address for the records.
Brandon Keating, 65 Wilkins Drive. Yeah, he explains exactly what it is, what it entails, the paid position, what it's all about.
as part of the affordable housing requirements, being compliant, we have to have a municipal housing liaison, which is basically the agent for the town who manages the affordable housing program. It's not a paid position. If you look down the list of resolutions, the intention is to appoint Mr. Perkins, being the housing liaison, who's got to actually go to training course tomorrow in order to qualify to fill the position, and that's in a nutshell what it does. The electric cost is required as part of the housing.
Any other questions? Seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public?
Motion to close the public.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to adopt on the second reading?
I make a motion to accept on second reading.
Second.
Councilmembers Brophy,
Yes.
Carrot, Correa,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
McCalmay,
Yes.
Samachansky.
Yes.
Agendas?
All items with an asterisk are considered to be non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There may be further discussion prior to the vote upon request of a member of the public or a council member. Also, any item may be removed for further discussion or for roll call vote, in which case the item will be removed and considered in its normal sequence as part of the general order of business. Number 64, bills list. 65, approval of St. John's number 1345 Columbiettes on-premise merchandise raffle to be held April 6, 2014. 66, authorization of the submission of the application for recycling tonnage report. Number 67, authorization to advertise for bids for recycling tipping. 68, Zach Blake, full membership status in the Dumont Fire Department. 69, Ryan Waska, full membership status in the Dumont Fire Department. Number 70, wastewater management plan. Number 71, consolidation of welfare and senior services, $3,000. Number 72, approval of Selzer School PTO on-premise merchandise raffle to be held March 23, 2014. Number 73, approval of Selzer School PTO on-premise 50/50 cash raffle to be held March 23, 2014. Number 74, John Perkins, appointment as municipal housing liaison.
Is there any comments or questions from members of the council? Seeing none, can I get a motion to open to the public just for questions regarding the consent agenda items?
Motion open to public. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This time, if anyone has any questions or comments, just on the consent agenda, please stand, state your name and address for the record.
Super question. Do all towns have municipal housing liaison position?
Anybody who files a traditional,
I'm sorry, have you already spoken on
yeah, any town that files a co-affordable housing bishop, one of the procedural requirements is to establish a position of municipal housing liaison.
And so is this person typically the owner administrator?
A lot of times in smaller towns, the clerk, we're fortunate to have an administrator, so that's a likely person. In the bigger cities, they have an actual, somebody full-time salary position.
Friends of Heating, 65 Oakland Drive. Regarding 1474, no offense to Mr. Perkins, but how does this come to, Mr. Perkins? Does it have to be somebody from the council, or should it be a public volunteer?
It's got to be an employee of,
An employee?
by statute, it has to be somebody who's employed. That's why for smaller towns, it works out to have to be municipal clerk, because if it has one, like I said, in our case, we have an administrator who's familiar with possibilities.
Thank you.
Hi. I have a couple of questions for the council. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Name and address.
It's okay. Billy Finn. I have a couple of questions for the council, which I'll hold till the end. Well, it's finally happened.
Is this on something on the consent agenda?
This is not something on the lawsuit that y'all
No.
want to talk about?
That's next.
Oh.
If it looks like it.
Sal Maurice, 20 Park Druid Avenue. 1467. Are we going to be looking to get a new recycle company? This is what it's talking about?
Yeah.
And 1466, the submission of application. What kind of report is that?
That's a report that's done by our recycling coordinator, Larry Baumgart.
Okay.
He responds to the state's requirements to put in all of our tonnage for the year.
All right.
It's a state requirement.
All right, and, we don't receive any money from paper and cans and bottles. Do we receive money
Yes,
for
we do.
that? What is that, like a split between the recycle company and us? How does that work? Please explain.
They pay us by tonnage
Okay?
up until May 31st, at which point they will no longer pay us, which is why we're going back out for bid.
For bid, all right.
Because of this green fence from China that's been in the paper and discussed at great length. We were notified that they'll take our stuff, but they're not
Well,
going to pay.
we're not gonna get paid for it.
Correct. So we're going to go back out to bid. Hopefully, the companies that are going to respond are not sending our stuff over to China, but maybe to either Vietnam or India. China is really becoming a pain in the butt when it comes to this. If it's a contaminated load, they're refusing the entire load. So companies are taking a hit. So
There's no recycle companies here in the United States?
no, everything is sent out.
Everything is shipped out of the
41%
country?
of all recyclables on the East Coast, South, and on the West Coast goes to China.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Nancy Greenberg, Larch Avenue. In reference to the job that Mr. Perkins has been assigned, I guess, already? Has that
We
happened?
haven't voted on it.
That's a vote that the council does?
Yes.
Is there a job description, and will be able to do both jobs? Is it gonna require a lot of your time? How do you know?
Well, I spoke to the state today,
Yes.
because I had to make sure that I was going to be able to get into the class. Basically, all it is you have to monitor all the affordable housing that you have in town. There's going to be the online ability to make sure the state is aware of everything that we have, whether or not there's any questions or regulations that come out, anything that we have to comply with. I'd be the person that they would go through.
Just compliance?
Yep.
So if the people, like, at the last meeting, the gal from COA was talking about compliance of the residents. If their income increased, would that be something that you would do the
Yes.
surveillance on? And then those reports?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to do surveillance, but we would get the background information, do whatever we need to do in order to make sure that the people that are part of the affordable housing units are meeting the requirements. And I guess that's one of the things I'm going to learn on Thursday when I go to class.
She made it seem that those requirements were very stringent, and she made me believe that somebody would really be doing surveillance, and if those people's income levels increased, or if they brought people into the development, that would all be looked at. That's something you're gonna be able to do in addition to your borough
Well,
administrator?
I'm not the one that's going to have the binoculars, but I'm sure I'm going to find ways to be able to get the information.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
John Mayo, 30 Wilkins Drive. He said there's a waste, 1470 waste water management plan. Does that include, what does that include exactly? Does that include if there is development on the D'Angelo's property with all our sewers, or is that just waste runoff water? What is that exactly?
Yeah, this is a plan that every town is required to put in with the state with regards to our sewer systems, storm sewer systems. It has nothing to do at this point with any new development in the borough. It has to do with the way we manage our sewer system now.
Salaries, 25 Druid. Does this include all stormwater? Is it just sewage or sewage and stormwater? Both? Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public?
Motion to close the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to accept the items on the consent agenda?
Motion to pass consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmembers Brophy,
Yes.
Carrick,
Yes.
Correa,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
McCelman,
Yes.
Samachansky.
Yes.
This time, can I get a motion to open to the public for any general comments or questions?
I make a motion open to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, if anyone has... excuse me,
I thought you opened to the public.
I didn't open yet. Please sit down. And please,
Not about D'Angelo's, okay? So don't get nervous.
You make me nervous no matter what.
This is my second one, waiting for you guys in the back room, so, you know.
I'm going to assume that people want to come up and make some statements. As our attorney mentioned, since we are now under litigation, there are probably no questions that we could actually answer. Everyone is welcome to come up and make a statement. I would appreciate if you could keep it to about 3 minutes and give everyone in the room a chance to speak. And that's it.
All right, can I go now?
Sal, you may go.
All right, thank you. Sal Maurice, 25 Drury. I want to came here to thank you about the snow removal that we had spoke about earlier with the fire department and the DPW and all that stuff. Thank you for straightening it out. The church is very happy. Okay. I was told that the fire hydrant out in front of Old North needs to be dug out. It hasn't been dug out. I don't believe, Chief, you had made a mention to this to someone here in the town. If I can get a map of where it is, the boys will definitely go and dig it out.
It's in front of the bus stop.
It is in front of the bus stop? You know, because I don't want to be poking holes in...
It's going to be cleaned out.
Okay, no problem. I'll get the scouts over there. We'll get that straightened out. Thanks, Chief. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I believe DPW was there this afternoon, taking it a while. That's my, it may already be done.
I'll take a peek. If it's not done, the Boy Scouts will take care of it.
Thank you.
We all know where you live now.
That's all right. That's all right. Come on down. Bring beer.
Couple questions, I'll hold till the end of my 3 minutes, which maybe you can answer, maybe you can't, I understand. It's finally happened. The Veteran Builders Remedy lawsuit has been filed against our tiny, ritzy town. A town that prides itself on its diverse working class fiber. Ironically enough, a town with citizens who have shown time and time again in the past that it does care about the poor, the elderly, and the underprivileged. What type of builder would file a lawsuit at this early a point in the proceedings? The answer? A builder prepared to win at all costs. A builder who doesn't care about the truth, not to mention our town's quality of life. Because if they did, they would not have lied by telling our officials the reason they couldn't give their promised presentation at the last meeting was because they were unprepared. When in fact, this was the exact date they filed their lawsuit. Oh, they were prepared to sue. Thus, they are the liars and bullies we feared that they would be. Liars at step 1 of this process. No, wait. Liars before this process has even begun. And these are the people we're going to be asked to entrust with our town's future quality of life and our financial well-being. Wow. The very same people who would have you believe that they care about affordable housing. They care about the underprivileged. Well, if you believe this, I have a bridge to sell you. In reality, all they care about is adding to their wealthy coffers. We all know that. If they care so much about disadvantaged people, why don't they do something for free for them? Why not donate their time or material? Take the money they'll be paying their lawyers for these despicable lawsuits and donate it to the United Way or the Madeline Housing Partnership for Special Needs Unit, as is being done in Tenafly to meet their COA requirements. But I digress. This builder's lack of moral character is evident. Unfortunately, this will not matter in the scheme of things. But we must face facts and realize what has become crystal clear. COA is used as a smokescreen, time and time again, by unscrupulous, greedy builders to line their pockets, done at the expense of hard-working, everyday people, done at the expense of the town's future. A tried-and-true ploy to box in municipalities and limit their options. These developers have raised bullying to an art form. They use this process to strike fear in taxpayers and elected officials alike, who are rightly concerned about ensuing legal expenses. And while no one, myself included, wishes for a protracted legal battle, it is not us who have begun this fight. And so my questions, if you can answer, for the mayor and council are as follows. What types of reports are going to be made public throughout the course of the litigation? Mr. Pastor, can you answer that, or maybe?
Anything, the suit papers, anything that's filed with the court, anything that's exchanged in the discovery process, which is basically the investigation process of exchanging information, that's all, unless it's considered privileged by the court, specifically, that's all public, and that can certainly be made public as it's exchanged.
All right, and lastly, would it be possible during the course of this litigation that the council could pursue and would pursue other avenues for this property, such as open space?
Well, as I mentioned at the last meeting, that since the property is under contract, for the borough to try and intercede and persuade the owner to sell it to somebody else, namely the borough or anybody else, would open up a whole different legal can of worms, because that could be construed as tortious interference with a contractual relationship. It means basically you go in and muscle the contractual arrangement out of the way, and that's something I would not recommend doing. That would make it worse.
I don't know that we would want the borough to go in and try to change a contract. I think what we would like to do is possibly have the borough put together a plan and examine what could be done if this were to go on for years or fall through. I understand tortious interference, and I understand that we also don't want to be sued possibly by the D'Angelo family either. But these are very, very important issues that I don't think you can blink at.
No, there's
I'm not saying that you are, but I think you need nerves of steel at this point. And do we have them?
It's what I will tell you is that there's no way making light of it. It's certainly something that needs to be addressed, and I would suggest and have suggested to the governing body that all options are on the table. And as the suit progresses, it's a work in progress, much like as we discussed at the meeting 2 weeks ago, the entire Development Avenue is a work in progress, and again, I think all options should be on the table, and I suppose will be.
I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Lindsay, 341 Wilkins Drive. December 17th, we all sat down at the senior center, and Darlene Green, I don't want to say promised, but promised that, filing that COA was going to this was not going to happen if we did that. So I guess I don't understand how they are able to file the suit if that was filed on time and it was accepted by the state or whoever accepts this COA.
Let me see how to answer that. You can't stop somebody from taking papers to the courthouse with a check of $200. One of the defenses that the borough will raise is that we have a COA plan filed, and
Has it been accepted though?
no, I'm pretty sure, if I remember what Darlene said, was that she didn't expect that we would get the you're applying for substantive certification of your plan. Once the plan is filed, you now have a level of protection. We didn't expect that the plan would be reviewed and certified, certainly not in the first half of this year, because COA is very understaffed. They're in the process of formulating new third round rules and regulations, because the prior third round plan was invalidated by the Supreme Court and all the other stuff we already know. But the short answer is no, the substance of certification has not been granted yet.
Okay. My next question is, how did they file a lawsuit on land that they don't even own?
Good question.
I mean, I can understand if D'Angelo Farms was, putting a lawsuit in, but, these people don't even own that property, which it says it in the lawsuit that the D'Angelo family still owns the property. So I guess, I don't get that. I mean, I'm a lawyer, but,
Let me put it to you this way.
I don't own your house either, but I'm sure I can't put a lawsuit.
I don't get it either.
Okay, I mean, okay,
I don't wanna say any more.
maybe
I don't
I
wanna say any more than that.
my last question is this, I know you're the borough attorney, will there be from what I understand, a joint land use attorney hired to help fight this?
Yes, Martin Dale, practicing Burlingfield, he's the joint land use attorney, joint land use board attorney. I spoke with him today and we will be coordinating the defense. Martin Dale, M-A-D-A-I-L. And he was my predecessor as a borough attorney, so he's got a lot of familiarity with it.
Okay. One last question, I don't know if you can answer this one either. How much lower is the rent on a unit than, regular rent? I mean, $200 cheaper, $400 cheaper?
It's a sliding scale, but there's several different classifications of affordable housing units. There's basic affordable, there's low income, very low income group, so I can't tell you the exact numbers, but there's a sliding scale.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel Lennon, 9 Poplar Street. This is just a very simple question. What I don't understand, and again, I'm very new to all of this, is that, let's say we don't meet our code requirements, and based on what Darlene has said, we are 17 units short. Why can't we tell these people, okay, you can build 17 low-income houses, or whatever you want to call them, on the property, that's it. Why do they get to say they can put 40 units per acre? It'd be like me saying, I want to open a small, cafe, and you say no, and say, well, I'm going to build a mega mall instead.
Well, they don't get to say what they put there. Either a court gets to say, or we come to an agreement. So, they can ask for anything they want. If you get in a car accident, you can ask for $1 million, but if you got a simple wood brush, you're not getting it.
And basically, those kinds of decisions now that are rested with the courts because they have filed a suit that.
Well, as I mentioned before, all options are and should be on the table, so that should be it.
Okay, and thank you.
Margaret Keating, 60 Fleetwood Road. Were you surprised by this move, based on where, that we had done the thing with COA, your interaction that you had, as minimum as it might be with the developer?
I was a little surprised at the timing, but I wasn't surprised given some other developments that had preceded the filing of the suit.
And I know you said you can't answer, but the lawsuit is point by point. Eventually, when they ask about what would be open to the public, at some point, will you be able to help us understand the point by point?
Absolutely. The borough has 35 days to file a formal response. At that time, that'll be public record once it's filed. An answer to a litigation complaint is generally an admission or denial of each of the allegations. You could probably, just by reading through it, take a pretty educated guess at what we're going to admit and deny. But that'll be a public document, and once that's filed, you're probably going to get a better idea of what we're discussing. And the problem is that I'm reluctant to discuss the merits in a public forum like this.
Well, I understand.
And I'll be happy to be a time and place where we can have a discussion.
Once, you do file, and it becomes part of the public record, how will we, as, residents of the town know? Will, the same way that Cliff went around, or will there be something on the borough website that we can click and open? But I mean, how is the, information going to be passed down so that it's access to those of us who, might not want to be running through, the county's,
Yeah, I don't see any reason why the formal documents couldn't be posted on the website. In terms of, strategy, negotiating posture, that kind of thing, obviously, that's something you want to keep confidential, you don't want to show your cards. But in terms of what the public documents are, I'll certainly discuss it with the governing body, and anything that can be made public to keep the information flowing, I would certainly be in favor of.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, actually, Mayor, that was exactly what I was going.
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
You indicated that, you were surprised by the timing of the lawsuit, but, not surprised by the lawsuit itself because of other developments. Can you share those other
Sure.
developments?
There was a public record request made for information about the development and the adoption of the fair share plan. And I think I emailed Mr. Perkins when we got that. It appeared to me that somebody was gearing up for a lawsuit. I was surprised that quickly came.
Okay. And, you talked about, us or the town filing kind of what we had written in '9. When do you expect that to be filed?
35 days, I doubt it would take that long. I would imagine something will be done in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
And, is the governing body, if the governing body's focus more concerned about ratables or the preservation of quality of life for your constituents?
Well, that's not something, I don't know, that's a fair question to ask. I think there's a delicate balance that you have to pay the bills for quality of life, and they all live here, so everybody has to, everybody is living, so I think there's a balance, but certainly I think quality of life has to be, I'm not total council, I think quality of life beats ratables every time. That's my feeling on that. Are you just asking folks
Right,
individually?
so maybe if somebody from the main council could
I don't know that I would want to make that a public pronouncement if I was one of them. Maybe grab them after the meeting and ask them what their personal feelings are. That might be a more kind of appropriate thing to have that special discussion.
And so I guess the other question, obviously the mayor and council is, relatively large group. Is there any plans for creating kind of a specialty committee to deal with this, or are you planning to deal with it as your,
There was a subcommittee that was developed to put the affordable housing plan together. If it becomes necessary to do that for the litigation, I don't see any reason why the same group wouldn't convene, but I'm not sure that would be necessary. I mean, it's for better or for worse, it basically gets put in the lawyer's hands at this point, and then decision making comes down to how to proceed, negotiations, whether it has to file that sort of thing.
Can you remind us again who on the council was part of that subcommittee?
That was Councilman Brophy, Councilwoman Zemchansky, and the mayor, and then the 3 members of the planning board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Petrie, first, I know this was you who asked about the numbers, the rents, and the income levels. Page 32 of the fair share plan that I believe is posted on the website shows what the income levels are for the various plans.
Very low, very low.
Take off on, I live at Bush Place in Dumont. This property, what is the present zoning for that?
It's zone farmland, I believe. Yeah, I think there's both.
The thing that I can't understand, each area of Dumont has character.
whether it's 100 by 100 or 50 by 100. If you build a house on 100 by 100, and they're all 100 by 100, and if you build a house on 25 by 100, it does affect the area. So that's something that we have to look at. If you have property such as D'Angelo Farms, it's residential, it's farm, and it should stay that way. If you put this development, this type of development in that area, it's going to affect the surrounding homes. And it's going to hurt the values of homes. I know that, I've been in business for 50 years. And something like this is not good. If I got a lawsuit that you guys got, I would countersue. Countersue the builder. Sue the owner of the property, because he's named in it. Because it's detrimental to the town. As far as affordable housing, I'm interested in affordable taxes. Dumont has 4 senior citizens buildings, no taxes. They also have a building St. Mary's they did. They did a lot. There's over close to 1,000 apartments in Dumont. For instance, there's a development, 254 units. They're paying $634,000 in taxes. Okay. You figure there's like 500 kids going in. That costs about $5 million. So you divide that, subtract. Dumont is paying $3.5 million to send these kids to school. And that's very impactful. Apartments are not a great. In fact, this builder is looking for tax abatements. He don't even want to pay taxes on his property. So I don't know if people realize that. But to me, you have to have courage to fight this. Don't sit back and like this guy. You got to fight him. Believe me. It's important. He's changing the town. This is going to affect the value of home. I'm telling you. I can't believe it. I mean, I'm in real estate business, and I know you go to court, they look at, well, what's the area? Well, if they're all 50 by 100, and the guy wants to build on 50 by 100, you really have the right to build it. But if the area is 75 by 100, 3/4 of that town, of that area is 75 by 100. They're all nice houses. There's no way you could put an apartment house there. I mean, where are we going with this? Next we'll hit a 1-family area. We'll be building a 5-family house. You gotta stop. It's zone residential. As far as I'm concerned, I can't see how a judge would rule in favor of this contract. I can't see it. Because the area doesn't call for it. It's a residential area. You just gotta use that, you know, and we got towns too. If you sit back and let them beat us up, it won't work out. And you gotta sue D'Angelo too. We sold a property, I sold a property across the street, which is 5 buildings. They're paying $1,000 taxes. Okay? Now, if they start using that as a farm, they're going to have to pay taxes. So I don't know what, know what tax rates. They're not paying any taxes. And people, I believe in affordable housing, but I think we've got to look at affordable taxes. We have to look at that. It's affecting the values of homes, I'm telling you. I can't see how a judge would even consider this before. I know you're a lawyer, and you got to look at that. You got to counsel. Be strong. Don't be weak.
Brendan Keating, 65 Wilkins Drive. Just a comment that, remember that the affordable housing part of this is just their avenue to get what they want. We have to remember that. Like somebody said, we need 17 units. We need 17 units of affordable housing in that property, and I'll be fine with that. So just remember, that's the builder's avenue to screw us. Regarding, Greg, your comment earlier, that you were served this morning, is what you're saying? Okay. I believe that, I guess, the process could take that long from the time it was, I guess, time they submitted it.
It was filed on the 4th, and I received it.
Okay. So you had no have our best interests, I mean, we need to maybe tighten that circle up, you know, this information, I mean, we really should get ahead of this. Just an opinion. Well, I mean, again, if it's filed on the 4th, I mean, somebody somewhere knows that, and somebody somewhere got to call somebody. I mean, it's not a big community, legal community.
There are services that chart all suits, Superior and U.S. District Court statewide. You know, that's something that big law firms, you know, subscribe to, you know, for a price. You know, it's not something that generally speaking would be used, you know, used to in this particular case, in my opinion. But frankly, until those papers are served, it's not, there's nothing official about it. And the clock doesn't really start, so the 10-day or 2-week delay is, I don't think, really cost anybody anything.
Regarding the merits of that case, I know you said you don't want to speak to it, and I was going through it myself, and not being a lawyer, and it got a little busy for me at the end, but I won't comment on all of them in the interest of time. But point number 3, which really starts speaking to the point, D'Angelo's property that located generally in the central portion of the borough. So that tells me that their merits, okay, of this suit are way off base.
They don't know the geography.
Well, it's completely inaccurate, and some of the other things, you know, they talk about a report that it's sufficient water capacity, sufficient sewerage, and all that kind of stuff. So where is this report?
Yeah, we'll certainly, you know, we'll certainly get it in the course of time.
So I believe that to Dick's point, that, you know what, I think this is, and someone else wrote, this is bullying. It sounds like they're trying to muscle up on us. Okay, so my next question is, if we weren't to abide by any resolution that a court might come up with, or these COA laws, I mean, what are we subject to? The fines?
You lose your state aid, you're subject to fines, you know, or in theory, state police,
And who would get arrested?
Oh, not me.
It's a serious question. I mean, does this come up? I mean, now is Dumont, it's an incorporate, right? It's a corporation, I mean, yeah, right. So, I mean,
It's a creature statute.
We have our own laws, we have our own variant, how come we can't stand by them? I mean, you know, and sooner or later, someone's got to snub their finger, you know, stick their middle finger up at these,
You know, I explained at the last meeting, and I know you were at, that, this is a constitutional obligation. I mean, the same as I mean, state constitution, not federal, but the same way you have the right against, you know, self-incrimination, the right to freedom of speech, freedom of press. New Jersey Supreme Court, for better or for worse, has written these affordable housing obligations into the Constitution, and the legislature and governor in 1985 codified it by statute. So it's something everybody's got to live with.
it's enforceable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all the way, you know, all the way to the top. The Constitution doesn't get any more basic than that.
so if it went that far, then it would go have to be brought to a federal court over.
Well, no, the state court has the ultimate jurisdiction, but, you know, let's classify it a little bit, and we'll talk about it.
Well, I know that, you know, a long legal battle is not in our best interest, but at the same time, laying down is not either. And the way they're coming out of the gate, I think that's what we kind of might have to prepare for.
Well, as I
Or,
said
you know,
before,
Chief Falborn's gonna be trying to protect 600 or so, you know, armed chain lock people in front of the property, laying down in front of the bulldozer.
let's hope it doesn't come to that. But, you know, like I said before, all options should be on the table.
Regarding, you know, the comments, I get that, you know, you guys, public record and all that, but, you know, get what you need to say on paper, teach everybody what they can and cannot say, because the longer the discussion is not open in public, it's going to get uglier and uglier. It's getting chippy, as many of you know already, you know, today on the public we need to get that part out of the way and join together for a common resolution. So,
The problem, as I said, is anything you say can be misconstrued.
say the right thing. Say the right thing, don't worry about it. If there's nothing to hide, then don't worry about it. Say the right thing, don't worry about it. That's all. You know? What the hell? I'll stand by, you know what? Stand by what you say. Think about what needs to be said. Say it. Get, at least hear the questions. Hopefully somebody's writing them down. And get the answers out there. Because, you know what? When people get stonewalled, that's when they get defensive and they make accusations, you know? You know what? I've had a little bit of rapport with you. I want to believe you. But you know what? When I see, something that's filed on the 4th, we hear about it today. I sat in a meeting on the 4th saying, we're going to be okay, like Lynn said, and the young lady sat over here and said, this is setting us up, we're going to protect us. You know what? Maybe that's how it works, but to us, the simple people here in the ritzy town, okay, it's you know what? It doesn't sit well. We have a negative history with the citizens and the people on this bench, different people that are here now, okay? But unfortunately, they got to wear that umbrella until proven otherwise. So, and that's what people are looking for. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for answers. We're obviously here to support you and do what we can, okay? But, let's get this information out there. Let's, educate our fellow citizens and council members on what they can and cannot say, and get some answers for people, that's all.
As I said, during my report earlier in the meeting, there's certain things that you don't want to, certain traps you don't want to step into, and I understand what you're saying. The borough has done everything that was advisable and it was possible to protect itself, and I stand by that. So that will bear itself out.
Okay. I give you that. What am I going to do? I got to give you that much. So, another thing too that we look at, ultimately, to this point too, the rezoning. I know we're doing it because to be co-op, but really what we're doing here is creating a lot of money for one family, whether they're entitled to or not, is debatable, and a developer. And there's less than 18,000 or so people live in this town that are going to foot the bill. There are two groups. Just keep that in mind.
Mr. Pastor, in your legal opinion, how do you think the unconstitutionality of the third round rules is going to affect this case? Is this something we can kind of ride out and see what happens?
As I said to you before, all options are on the table.
It's just insanity. And aren't each and every one of you just a little cranky that they filed this lawsuit? Because if I was you, I'd be one. This is why I'm not one of you. But we're trying to conform to rules that are unconstitutional, that the state has no idea how they've been made, that Einstein can't figure out. And my fear is we're going to buckle in, we're going to do all this, and a month later they're going to say, oh, none of this mattered anyway.
As the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished.
Understand.
I don't want to say too much either.
No, I know, you can't, but
Sal Maurice, 25 Druid. I got to hand it to Mr. O'Connor over here. Man said it 100% right. Sometimes in life, you need to draw a line in the sand. And you need to stand and defend. If our mayor and council draw that line, look at all the people that are going to be behind you. Everyone, and more. What is the state militia going to come in and, oh, you can't do this, or, what's the bottom line? We don't comply. We're not compliant. Your Honor, I will not comply. Period. What are you going to do? Fine me? I will pay it. Jim, if you go to jail, I'll be in the cell right with you. I'll go right down. And there's a lot of people here that will go with you. That's the bottom line here. Do not comply. Resist. Revolt. There's love and revolt. Revolt. We don't need this. We don't need this in our town.
Rachel Vines, just again, a quick, one of the things I was wondering is, New Milford is facing this, we're not alone in this fight. And I was wondering, is there anything to be said about joining the other towns to protect ourselves against builders coming in and destroying our towns? Because while this really affects Dumont right now, it's really more a Bergen County or even a New Jersey issue. Every day in the paper, there's a story about a town that's being told what they have to do in order to meet these requirements, or builders are just coming in and running roughshod over town. I was just handed by Lily what Wycliffe Lake just bought Galaxy Gardens to avoid this. And whether we could have done that with D'Angelo's, it's water under the bridge. But again, this is not just, I mean, it affects us, we're all here. This is just the beginning. I mean, we have a lot of people who are coming to us. There'll be a lot of people in town supporting the fight against these builders. But it's not just Dumont, and that's just what I want to, I don't know if you have to keep it within Dumont because it is our town, or if you can reach out to the other towns and say, let's unite against this, what's happening.
Well, I mean, Dumont is the only one that can zone, property in Dumont is the only one that can issue building permits in Dumont. So to that extent, you're on an island. But you're right, you're not alone. Unfortunately, there's a large body of case law going back to the mid-70s on this topic. So it's been pretty well, exhausted and vetted by the courts what you can and can't do, what you have to, and who you can do. And as much as I admire Sal's, spirit, it's a lot. We're a nation and a society of laws and we're a society where it's not an anarchy. So you have to,
Is it not legal?
Well, as courts make, rulings and as legislatures make laws, that's what, we live by. And, as I've said several times, all options are on the table. And I know that you here and planning board as well want to do what's best for the kids.
And the town is behind you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comparing the Milford with Dumont is a little different. The Milford property is not as desirable as the Dumont property.
The record, Mr. O'Connor, now.
Huh?
Just on the record, which soon knows.
Well, it's completely different. That's flooding area and it's not residential at all. It's property residential. The whole concept is, do you permit a building to be built in a completely residential area that's going to be detrimental to the surrounding area? It's definitely going to drive values down of the home. And that's what I would have. And that's what you guys should be looking at. It's crazy. You got towns like Forward, they have nothing, no affordable housing, no apartments, no nothing to do on. They really did a good job. That's right. So you gotta look at the area and it's hurting the area, and it's got to hurt the value of the homes. If that means something, then we'll talk to this town citizens.
Kathy Doherty. You just said a few minutes ago that only Dumont can change the zoning and only Dumont can issue building permits. Is it that simple and we shouldn't worry about this?
Oh, no, as I said before, it's certainly something, this is an issue that has to be dealt with. It's just not, it's not something that anybody else can help you with, when the notices were sent out about the hearing in December, they had to be sent to all the contiguous towns, to put them on notice, but at the end of the day, you are on an island here in terms of, you fight your own fight on your own. Milford can't help you, Birmingham, Holland can't. They don't have any real input. That's the thing.
units per acre would have on that?
It's a minimal consideration.
I mean, that's gotta be crazy. 40 units per acre is 240 units.
If you have trouble sleeping one night, read Mount Laurel versus.
I have it here.
Double AC. It's painful, to read, but, you know,
And that's gotta be crazy
It is
that
what
they
it
don't
is,
do
as
the
they say.
taxes and somebody said, oh, they have to go up. You have to add police and, I mean, the fire department's voluntary, but and ambulances, and when an ambulance can't get to you, are they now suing you because that ambulance couldn't get there because they're all volunteers and we didn't have enough people to get to you? I mean, this is nonsense that goes on.
just remember, you know, that the plan that was filed by the borough, had 17 additional units added. Okay, in a town with, if I'm remembering my numbers right, has about 6,500 units of housing in town. So that's a very, very small percentage of the overall, I mean, you wouldn't even know it's there.
But not 17,
Right.
but 240.
Right, exactly. So the point is, you know, it's not about, it's really not about affordable housing, it's about housing in general, and how much is too much, and what can the infrastructure handle and all that, and, you know, that's why I've said several times, all options should be in our honesty.
Okay, and on this other one here, number 5 on page 3 of their lawsuit, where it says that the sewer system has sufficient capacity. I mean, currently on that property, there's 3 bathrooms with a well. How there could be sufficient capacity to hold 240 units for sewage for, you know, however many people that would be is, that's just crazy.
I can tell you that's something we're gonna deny.
You can say that.
John O'Neill, 30 Wilkins Drive. This is actually a general question. I've had the sewer system back up into my basement over there. Is the town gonna do anything to drudge the sewer this year or the beginning of the spring for like the floods to really come? Like, are they gonna clean the sewers at all? Like, clean out the crap that's in it?
Sure.
No, like, you know what I mean, like,
That crap for you?
like they have that vacuum thing, I think I've seen, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen it by my street in like a year or two, or.
After the meeting, give me your address, we'll look into it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Tom Brockton, 27 Marriott. First of all, I just want to start, Tom Brockton, 27 Marriott. I just want to thank you guys. I know it's, I guess it's going to take a little bit of beating or whatnot, but I appreciate all your help. I know you guys are ultimately on our side, and I do appreciate all the work and time that I know you guys are putting in. And if you go to jail, my wife takes the cake with a I guess, so 2 questions I have. The first one, has the formal plan actually even been submitted to the town of Dumont?
No.
Second question I have, is it possible for the town of Dumont to create a law, amendment, statute, something, being in a fairly liberal state in a union county, that would say, any new construction or major renovation consisting of X number of units per building, whatever it is, must be 100% union labor. I know there are lots of locals that are.
That was Brian Marnock right there.
So, there are lots of locals and lots of, I know several, and,
It's not a public project, so, we can't, there's a lot of the, government projects that are town sponsored that have project labor agreements, and those are done down at the county level and high, bigger projects. But we can't mandate what happens on a privately developed project.
So I can tell you, I worked for 5 years at Unilever, up in 9W on Englewood Cliffs, and we did major renovations to the building. It had to be, because it was in Bergen County, as a corporation, 100% union labor. So I used to do capital expenditure requests and work on projects like that. That was always a major consideration for us. So would that not apply to that with a commercially zoned property, or?
It's a good point to bring up, and I'll definitely look into it. We don't, you know, personally, I'm a union supporter. I think that, you know, unions serve a purpose in our society, so, if there's no objection from the governing body, that's something I would certainly, you know.
Yeah, no, you did that big rat, that big blow up rat, allegedly, under our subcontractors would not need that big blow up rat.
Yeah.
Probably not, but, yeah, okay, thank you very much.
Sal, this is your last time.
All right, just one last one. All right, you know, getting back to what that gentleman just said. Oh, Sal Reese, 25 Druid Avenue. If one dime
comes from the state, county, federal, then it's union. One dime. Doesn't he have to show funding of what he's gonna build? That's public record too.
Good question.
So if he gets a little bit of money, just, I don't have a dime on me, but if he gets a little bit of money, then it's required. That'll drive him out. And that is a good point that you need to argue when you have to sit in the courtroom. Also the fact that, I think, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think a lot of people in town, if, you go down a Hackensack, you're not going to go alone. If you say, this is when it's going to be, you'll have people that, I will not speak. You're going to do your job, and I'm going to do my job by standing behind you as a resident, just like anybody else here.
Jail's right across the street.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. My cousin's a sheriff deputy. I'll get a good spot. Don't worry. Me and you, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Dude looks good, bro.
Thank you, sir.
Marianne Keno, 84 Andover. The reason I'm coming up to speak is because I'm hoping that you're all listening, that everybody who has any voice in the final decisions as to how that piece of property is going to be utilized. We have a unique opportunity in Dumont. It's a highly developed community, a lot of houses close together, and we have one little open parcel left. And how we use it should be environmentally appropriate and appropriate for the quality of our community. I have a statement, not a statement, but I say this, I don't know why I say this, but years ago, the mayor would send out a bulletin, and the mayor's message in 1997, I said, oh my gosh, I should get this out. And it said here that there's an article in the New York Times about what a great community Dumont was, how it was the perfect place for a young family to come because of the quality of life here, how it was structured. And I'm really hoping that, however this goes, that we don't lose that community that we were in 1997 to some developer who's going to utilize the laws for their own good. I live on Andover, and I can attest to one thing. Washington Avenue, at the corner of Andover and Washington, is one of the narrowest intersections, and is a bottleneck in the mornings when you pick up kids in the afternoons. And as this developer had all looked at what traffic impact he would have if he put in, today I see 40 units per acre, which is absurd. We have no access roads. Plus, on Stratford Avenue, one of my neighbors some years ago found out she wasn't even hooked to the sewer system. She was still on a septic tank when it backed up. So how can we attest to what's going on that part of the property without actually going in and seeing? And how can this developer say that? And I'm just going to say one last little thing, and that is we should look to our neighbors in Harvard and Harrington Park, Closter, Alpine, Amber Cliffs, Riverdale. Look how they addressed and dealt with the mandate for COA. And we could learn from them maybe, because maybe many heads and many ideas. I know that lawyers look in books and cases to figure out how to address their own cases. I am begging you, if I get on my hands and knees, I would beg you, please, don't change the quality of our town. Don't let any developer change the quality of our town. 17 units is not 240. Thank you.
Joe Anachino, 84 Andover Avenue. I'm my husband. The reason why I'm up here is about COA. She said, the last thing she said was what I really have been thinking about for the last month or two. What about Harrington Park? What about Inglewood Cliffs? What about Old Tappan? What about Franklin Lakes? What about Oakland? These are towns that have very high incomes compared to us. We're middle class, upper middle maybe. Okay, Why are they unable to avoid a lot of this COA requirements by the state? Now, borough from years ago, how come we are not avoiding this in some way? What litigation do we have to put forth as far as that's concerned? Because I don't see low-cost housing in Englewood Cliffs. I don't see it in many towns. Maybe Tenafly, I don't see it in Creston. I don't see it in Harrington Park. I can go on and on and on, all over the state of New Jersey. But I don't have exact facts. But I'm positive that they're avoiding it somehow. Why all of a sudden we have this problem to confront? Does anyone know the answer to that? Yeah, first of all, nobody's avoiding it. Everybody has an obligation. Everybody has to put together a plan to address the obligation. The reason it's becoming an issue now in Dumont is because for the past 40, 50 years, there hasn't been a substantial parcel of land to be developed. So there was never an incentive for any developer to make this kind of a play for for a high density development. And that's presumably the reason that in all this time since 1985 when the Fair Housing Act was established that there was never really any urgency to address the fair housing requirements because it was never was never an imminent situation. Thank you. A mayor of a town north of here, okay, I'm not going to say the name or the town, okay, but I know it's not a fact, but I'm going to tell you what I heard. The mayor actually paid another town in Hudson County money to avoid the COA or Mount Laurel decision. Yeah, years ago you can't do that. You can't do it anymore. That's been legislated out of the requirements. It was called a regional contribution agreement, where you could basically buy your way out of your some of your. It's illegal now, you're saying, sir? Correct. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you in Demorest they sold nine units to Union City. Exactly. Hobo. And the one, I'm not saying the name again, but I'm not saying Norwood. Norwood, it was it was Jersey City. Yeah, back in those days you could do that, but as the third round you can't anymore. And just to kind of reiterate something, and I don't want to rant on, but Dumont has addressed its need in large measure. I mean, the reason, the gross number is 100 units. Yeah. Only 17 remain. So Dumont has been, very cognizant of the unprivileged, of the elderly, so, a lawsuit is a position paper, and I wouldn't read too much into the language in the lawsuit. An old lawyer told me a long time ago, your best day is the day you file your suit. And from there, everything else, it starts to unravel a little bit. So, I wouldn't be with that. Thank you very much.
Craig, I have one question for me. Joe Falvey, Virginia area. Joe, Cresco does have low income, it's in Dyton's Park.
Okay, I don't know everything, I hope like that.
To meet our caller, I don't know if that's the right word or not, do they take in consideration the group homes we have in town as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
Tom Duffy, again, Point of America. If they do file for a tax abatement, would that count as state funds, as Sal mentioned before, then requiring a union?
That came to mind when Sal made mention, and it would certainly, it becomes public,
Margaret Keating, 60 Fleetwood Road. When Lynn was speaking, she had asked if our plan had been approved, and you said that there was a backup, and that there are some pending things, I guess, to revise or tweak the existing law.
Right.
Can that play in our favor? Like, because if things are happening that could change things, we can't be forced into a resolution, can we, till everything plays out, and of course,
It's
And I'm not talking about our court, but currently what's going on.
It's a process, and the process develops over the course of time. And, you know, somebody mentioned before that those, you know, supposed to be revised in their favor. Well, if the revised figures, you know, could wind up in our favor. And other actions taken by the borough could wind up in our favor, could wind up. As a veteran also, you know, you kind of take both sides, but everything is a work in progress.
So then, I mean, a lot of what's going on, they just taking their stance, but the fact of the matter is, we don't even know if, what's been accepted and what hasn't because of a backlog and stuff like that.
Correct.
We can use that maybe to help us out.
It's entirely possible that we're completely
Compliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, that's a possibility, but it's something we have to prove, you know, in court.
All right, thank you.
Kathy Darden, just a quick question. So, it appears, you know, based on what I've read, that the builder remedy lawsuit, you know, provides power to the builder because they're using the affordable housing as their card to kind of, get what they want. Is the mayor and council, considering an alternative solution other than new development to fulfill the 17 units that we're short of?
Well, the plan was fine.
Right.
With color to address since the only existing developable space is over at the end road, that's where the plan calls for it to be built. The plan calls for 12 units per acre. The lawsuit's asking for 40. You know, somewhere in the middle probably lies the solution. I don't know, but the bottom line is there was no place else that we could legitimately say we're going to put 17 units because we don't know where that is. You have to pinpoint it to a location.
We do. So we don't have an ability to, let's say, to go to the Dumont apartments that are on Fellows Drive and talk to the owner of those to see if he wouldn't convert 17 units to affordable housing, and that would solve the problem in a different way?
We'd have to pay him.
Yeah,
We do.
of course.
We do. And you can do that to a certain level. Darlene explained it last meeting. I don't remember exactly how many of the units you can rehab units, but it's not an end-all be-all solution.
So is that something that the mayor and council are considering as a potential solution?
It's something to explore, but it doesn't change the obligation for the 17 units that the D'Angelo company.
And so why is that though? So I mean, the 17-unit obligation is the town in totality's obligation at this point. Does it have to be via new developed land, or can you take property that already exists, and you know, obviously you need to give somebody compensation, but convert that into affordable housing?
Well, you know, everybody knows the only appreciable piece of land left in town is D'Angelo's. I mean, it's just a fact. We drive around, all there's either parkland or that. So, you know, to be compliant, the planning board and the council decided to adopt the plan that is sent to file. And that's where these units are now. Like I said before, there's 83 other credits that are other places in town. They're over on Dumont, they're down 11, they're all over the place. So all the avenues are being explored. That's the best way I can put it without going into further.
And so was there, you know, so did, I think it was Mayor Darlington from a company called Mazer? So did they advise us to create our plan so that it was tied to the D'Angelo's property, and that was kind of our best route to file our COA? Or did they also ask, or advise us to consider other alternatives to fulfilling that requirement?
Well, all the alternatives that were available were explored, and the ones, yeah, it's all being looked at. It's all being pursued.
Adjourn.
Dumont, 64 Ontario Street. Greg, I know you can't really talk too much to the strategy, et cetera, but a lot of people are talking about filing of counterclaims, for example. Would it be the borough's position to aggressively defend against this action with procedural things like a motion to dismiss for lack of standing, potentially a stay of this litigation until the third stage rules issue is straightened away, et cetera?
All options are being explored.
Any other?
I just have something really quick.
Damn. Almost had it.
Liz Marquez, 235 Water Street. The only thing I'm not going to speak to a lawsuit, I get it. But we've worked very, very hard for many years to keep our height limits at 28 feet. And I really hope that the council takes that into consideration, how hard we've worked to keep it that way. And I really hope that's part of, what you're going to look at in terms of maintaining our quality of life. Of course, the first alternative is to have open space, but if we can't have open space, then we can't go above 28 feet. I mean, there's not many properties in town, I think there's 3, that are above that, and they're all very different than this, and I really hope that's taken into consideration.
Dave Isolde, 425 Milford Avenue. Does the town have like engineering studies on the traffic impact that this would have on the roads and to put against this claim?
Town doesn't have anything prepared yet, that I'm aware of.
Would that be the town doing that, or the citizens have to get involved?
Oh, no, that's something the borough is absolutely going to have to explore. Again, depending on, a lawsuit is like a road with 1,000 forks, and depending which fork you go down at any given time, how you proceed can change. But if it's something that we wind up, going the limit on, we have to, all of that would have to be for traffic, other infrastructure, plumbing, police, all the impacts, all that stuff.
Also, do you guys know, because I know New Milford, slightly different, but everyone comes to the same thing. I mean, this is a question you guys answer, but does anybody know if any of the citizens have started forming sort of organization like Stop Overdevelopment in Milford? Like, would it be in, they have?
Floating around, I'm sure you can find a petition.
Rachel Rain, see the one back there?
I know sometimes with lawsuits, people not involved in the lawsuit file briefs on behalf. Can that, let's say we get an organization going, would that help if we were to file?
It's called intervening in the action, and court has to consider everybody who's got standing, which means that you're a stakeholder in the action. So, take that choice.
And 2 minutes, just to clarify. There's a small group of us that have formed this group, Farms, and we have a Facebook page and an email list, and the sole purpose of this is to keep the community informed. That's why we did it. We do it because we want the community to know what's going on, and not just the people that live near D'Angelo's, but we're trying to make this a town issue. So that's the purpose of this mailing list, and if you want to sign up and just keep informed, some people are more into social media than others. That's why we have the Facebook page, we have the email list. We are not looking to be chaining ourselves to the gates of D'Angelo's or suing anybody. That's not our point. We're looking to find rational, reasonable people with good solutions and ideas. And whatever we come, and if you want, we're happy to share with you. But that's the purpose of this. And if you want to be on our email list, fine. Thank you.
Nancy Weaver, can our code plan that we put together be changed at this point?
Yes.
So what Kathy's already said about the land and getting together very quickly, the council met and found out that it was being sold, and we put together our code plan because we kind of last minute to resolve the space. Did you in fact make it for D'Angelo's at that time?
The recent
No?
plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, some work was done back in 2007, which is why it was certainly that was in the consciousness, sure.
And what about what Captain Gordon said about like Dulles Drive and paying and those things? Was that discussed? And this plan, I think what I'm trying to say and understand was when you formulated the plan, kind of hurriedly it seemed, because we had to protect our interests so that we could protect whatever was going to be developed there. You tied it directly to the property, you made it for that?
Yeah, that's part of the requirement, is that you provide a realistic expectation of where and how you're going to provide for your obligation. And there isn't really another realistic, location where it could be provided. So, and that, to what Mr. Anacino asked before, if you go look at the plans of other area towns, you'll see how it goes, and it's very similar. There's an empty borough-owned lot behind Borough Hall. There's a park that's falling into disrepair. There's, whatever it is, it's generally site-specific.
It really doesn't happen until something happens, until something becomes available in these smaller towns. You have some kind of ideas, but you don't formulate something official, and then all of a sudden.
Dumont's a unique town because it was built up very quickly, basically after World War II, and it was almost 100% built out by 1970. So, it was really never, and as I said before, Dumont has been very good about providing senior housing that is affordable for working class people and other things like that. So it never was something that was was an imminent, urgent issue. And so, and it's not a political issue either. I mean, governing bodies of both parties have, did file plans for 30 almost years now. So it's really not political. It's not economic, particularly. It just wasn't something that was urgent because the Angelos was going to be there forever, and they were going to be selling grass seed and all of that, and forever ends now.
Just two statements. The builder lives in Wyckoff, and I don't think they have the same issues there. I don't know why. Maybe I'll speak to them.
Well, there's a lot more open space up in that area.
Protected open space.
No, I mean, there's a lot more buildable property, so as projects come through, they get, nobody knows where the affordable housing units are. Drive through Tenafly, they have dozens, you don't really know. They're in there somewhere.
They're buried in
Don't
there.
know. Yeah.
Some people see this big 1.7 acre center. And the other thing that I noticed on Zillow, there's a lot of houses right in that area that went for sale in the last 7 days.
In Waterville.
Where? The app for your phone, the Zillow app, right in that area. The house on the corner of Dumont and Washington is for sale, went for sale 7 days ago. And I saw just yesterday when I looked, 3 more houses in the area are for sale. And again, market for all of us, I think there's a lot of fear, and I think there's a lot of people that just jump from ship because of the tax, fear of the tax increase, 913.80.
I'll have to tell you, you jump off a ship just to take down a little water, that's not a great strategy.
That's what they said about the Titanic, bro.
It is nice.
Still, it's unsinkable.
No, I don't.
No, I don't either.
No.
Hi, really quick question as to what Dumont said. With the studies that, I'm assuming we're gonna make studies, obviously traffic studies, and the taxpayers will have to pay for that, correct? Okay, so we need to hire the best and the brightest, and if we happen to win, are we going to sue them back for those fees?
That's a one-way street. The fee shifting is never in favor of the governing, of the.
All right, so we'll just have to be prepared to pay. That's fine, but I would like to sue them back since they forced our hand for our legal fees.
We know that.
All options are on the table.
Just a couple of clarity questions.
Name and address?
Neil Gillespie, Rock Clear.
Thank you.
They put a plan in place for 40 units per acre.
That's what the lawsuit says, it's not a plan.
Okay, and we counted with 12 units per acre.
We filed a plan that has 12.
They accept,
pretty much agreeing to developing multiple units in that space, right?
Right.
So we're not gonna be looking at any other options.
It's not gonna stay farmland, right? I think that's been established. And by the way, the borough was never given an opportunity to, you know, to make a bid for the property or anything. You know, I know a lot of people said, well, why can't we leave it open space, make it a park?
I understand
We
the
were never
deal is
given
done
that
already, I
opportunity.
understand the deal is done already. So all this is basically fighting whether they're gonna pick 40 acres or 12, or somewhere in between. Thank you.
Brendan Keating, 65 Wilkins. Again, now, just to clarify, follow up on that point, that's 12 units per acre, and then that's again now before variance kick in, correct? Like, obviously, if the variance as far as fence height, building height, and everything like that, would change the amounts.
That would be zoned in. The plan is to rezone the property for 12 units per acre, setbacks, buffers, height restrictions, all of that. And then, you know, without any of the other intervening issues, litigation, that stuff, that's what the plan says.
So you potentially, if the setback, the variances could limit it actually less than 12 without any consequence then.
Well, the 12 is pretty much the floor number.
Yeah. So then we would maybe potentially have to change the setback number or a height number?
Well, that would
to
be
meet the
part
12?
of it. That would be part of it, yeah. You change, you know, I don't know if you change your setbacks, whatever the setbacks are there, if it's, you know, 20 feet, I don't think you're gonna put, you know, a 12 unit density 20 feet from the street, it's gonna be further back than that. You know, but that's something that you really wanna talk to the planner, we'll have them here, you know, when it makes the release.
Okay. Let's get a motion to adjourn.
Can I just say something? Just take 2 minutes. First of all, as a newcomer, this is a whole new learning experience for me also. I just want to let everyone know that I truly appreciate everyone coming, asking their questions, and showing their concerns. It not only educates me further, but it also educates the rest of the council. The only thing that I do object to is any kind of negativity to the council. I take personal offense to anyone who goes on any blogs and tries to deface us without knowing us or maybe knowing how we really operate. So with that being said, I do have a phone, cell phone, and a home phone, email address. You need it. A lot of people in this room know me. Get it from them and verbalize your feelings to me personally. Please do not go onto blogs. Social media will be the downfall of us. We've discussed this before in the past. And I don't want to be wrapped up, and I don't feel this council should be wrapped up in people's negativity. That will only make it worse and detrimental to this committee that is trying to educate us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to close the public?
I make a motion to close.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you all very much for your courtesy and
Adjourn.